Hello everyone, and welcome to the first of many Introduction to Excel videos specifically geared towards taking an introductory statistics course. Now the course I'm making this video for is a college level statistics course, but it definitely applies to a high school statistics course as well. In this video, the goal is not to learn how to use Excel. Like I said, this is the first of many videos, and this is going to be a brief introduction to some of the functionality that we're going to be using throughout the semester. So you see on the screen right now, on the left-hand side, I have some preloaded numbers, and these are just numbers I randomly generated using Excel. So we've got 60 numbers, 4 columns. Each column has 15 numbers, so 4 times 15 is 60. And on the right, you see some questions that we're going to answer. I know there's 12 questions, but really a lot of these are very quick. So it's not going to take too much time to go through these 12 questions. The goal is to introduce some of the functionality that we're going to be using very, very often throughout the semester. Some of the later videos are going to be much more targeted and specific to individual topics. The goal of today is just to start the process of getting comfortable with Excel. Okay, so before I do anything, if you look at these 12 questions on the right, you'll see a lot of these a capital letter followed by a number. So in number 1, highlight cell G1 yellow. Number 2, in cell G1, find the sum of the numbers in column A, and so on. So before we attack any of these individual problems, I'm going to assume no one has used Excel before. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but this is meant to be building your skill set from the ground up. So if you see at the top of the data array, you'll see a row of capital letters, and on the screen you could see A through Q. And if you scroll to the right, you'll see the rest of the alphabet. And actually after Z, it starts repeating letters. So it actually goes on forever. And if you look at the left hand of the spreadsheet of the data array, you'll see numbers. So those letters and numbers are labels. Right? The columns, which are vertical up and down, are labeled by capital letters, and the rows, which go left and right, are labeled by numbers. Now, we all know, hopefully, we all know that if you mix blue and yellow, you get green. So let me go ahead and I'll highlight column F. Ooh, I wanted to use a yellow highlighter. Let me go ahead and I'll highlight column F, yellow. Okay, so if I'm referring to column F, I'm referring to everything that I've just highlighted yellow. And let me switch to the blue highlighter, and I'm just randomly picking columns and rows. Let me go with row 18. All right, so I'm gonna highlight row 18 blue. So we identify locations on the screen based on what column and what row that particular little box is in. Now these little boxes, each individual little rectangle you see on the screen, these are called cells. And this one cell that's highlighted green, because I mixed the yellow and the blue, if you see that one cell that's highlighted green, I'll even put some green pen around it so we could see that nice and easy. That location is location F18. All right, so we identify individual locations on the screen by what column it's in first and what row it's in second. Okay, so now that we know how to identify or point out specific locations in the screen, I'm going to erase this highlighting because we're going to need this space to do these 12 questions. Okay. So number 1, highlight cell G1 yellow. Now I don't mean highlight with a pen. Not everyone has a pen and has the ability to write on the screen. I'm going to go to the home ribbon Now, you see all these little icons at the top of the screen. This collection of icons is called a ribbon. It's the same. You may be familiar with Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint. There's a lot of overlap there. A lot of the same icons you're going to see. You know, we see boldface, italics, underlined, text color, highlight color, increased font size, decreased font size. There's a lot of things we also see in other Microsoft Office programs. Now, what I'm going to do is, for number 1, highlight cell G1 yellow. So cell G1, that's this location right here. So let me erase that little mark that I made. So that's this location right here. Now, to highlight this yellow, it's actually the same icon that you'll see on, I believe the same icon you'll see on Word. Fill color. Now, if you hit this little down arrow, there's a lot of different colors you could use, and you could click on more colors, and a little color wheel will pop up. But we're just going to use plain old yellow, highlight cell G1 yellow, and we're good. And we're done. So let's use red to put a little check next to each question once we answer it. So highlighting a cell, and you could highlight multiple cells at once. We go to the home ribbon and use this fill color icon. Now, in cell G1, the one we just highlighted yellow, find the sum of the numbers in column A. Okay, so what that means is we want to add up these 15 numbers in column A. All right, add these guys up. Now, this is where we use those built-in functions in Excel. Now, there's the functionality gets a little complicated, or can get a little bit complicated, but in the scope of this class, and for an introductory statistics class, we're going to keep things pretty entry level. Now, there's going to be a number of different functions we're going to use, and they generally have the same syntax. There's basically 3 parts to a function. It's an equal sign, followed by the name of the function, and then in parentheses, some information that Excel needs. And for the beginning of the course, and for what we're going to be doing in these first few videos, what Excel needs is the location of the data. Location of the data. So the first function we're going to use, the name of this function, and it's a really common one, is sum, S-U-M. So if you type the words equal sum and then open parentheses, you are telling Excel to add up a bunch of things. Then you have to tell Excel which things you want to add up. Now, we're adding up these numbers here in column A, which I'll temporarily highlight. We want to add up these numbers. So what is the location of those numbers? Well, that is everything from cell A1 through A15. So every number starting with A1 up through A15, we want to add them up. Now, the Excel, in Excel language, through is the colon. So if you type in A1 colon A15, what you're doing here is telling Excel to add up, that's the SUM part, the sum, add up all the numbers in location A1 through A15. Okay, let me get rid of the blue highlight. And so in cell G1, I'll type in equal sum. And now I could use the keyboard to manually type in A1 colon A15, or you could simply use the mouse to highlight that stretch of numbers. So if you click and drag, you'll see Excel automatically entered A1 through A15 because that's what I just highlighted. And I'll close the parentheses. You don't really have to, but just to be thorough. And so those 15 numbers in column A added up to just under 1,800. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit faster now. Highlight cell G2, which is the one just below the yellow one. Highlight that one blue. So let's go ahead and go back to the home ribbon. And there's many blues. We could pick whichever one we want. That's a nice blue right there. Okay, so number 3 is done. Now in cell G2, find the average of the numbers in columns A through D, all of that, so all 60 numbers. So basically now we're looking at all of these. Find the average. Now, if you were using a calculator, that's a whole lot of work. You would have to type these numbers in one by one, 193.9416 plus 114.7592 plus 63, and so on. You have to type in, there's a lot of keystrokes, a lot of time to type them in. On Excel, we'll use a similar function. It's a built-in function to Excel. If you want to find the average of a group of numbers, the name of the average function is, well, no surprise, average. And now I'm writing capital letters. You don't have to type capital letters into Excel. And we'll actually do A1 all the way down through, we go left to right, top to bottom, all the way down through D15. But just like in using the sum function, I don't have to type A1 colon D15. I'm just going to type equal average parenthesis. And again, just going to use the mouse to highlight all of the numbers that I want to find the average to, the average of. Now that was a very quick process. It only took a couple of seconds, where if you were going to type all these numbers into a calculator, add them up and divide by 60, it would be a very time-consuming process. Okay, so we are down to number 5 now. Round all of the numbers in column A through D to the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 decimal places. Now, rounding in Excel is very easy. And you're going to have to do a whole lot of rounding this semester, because in the homework, anytime there's a numerical calculation, the directions are going to specify what number of decimal places to round to. So if we go back to the home ribbon, you'll see these 2 little icons where my mouse is. I'm hovering over. It's the 3 little zeros. One has an arrow to the left, one has an arrow to the right, and if I hover over them, one of them says increase decimal, the other one says decrease decimal. So if I want to use those, change the number of decimal places, which is what I want to do now, I want to round to 2 places, first I have to select. I have to tell Excel what I want to apply this to, what data I want to round. And then I could bring everything down to a whole number. I could add more decimal places. All right, so we want to round to the nearest hundredth. So there we go, nearest hundredth. And Excel follows normal rounding rules. If it's a 5 or above, in the next place you round up, and otherwise you round down. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6, for each of the columns A through D, reorder the columns so that the numbers are in order from smallest to largest, and do this for each column separately. All right, so we're on number 6 right now. Also, something we're going to be using pretty commonly, but is also very, very easy to do, as long as you know where the function icon is. So I'm going to go back to the Home tab, and for column A, I want to put these numbers in order. from smallest to largest. So if you look at the home ribbon, all the way at the right-hand side, this little AZ icon, if I hover the mouse over it, it will say sort and filter. So if you click on that guy, the first option, sort smallest to largest. So it's really just one click. Now you'll see this window come up, sort warning. What this is asking is, okay, if we're going to move this 193.94, if we're going to move that down the list, do we want to move the number next to it down the list as well? Do we want to connect? So basically, it's saying, do we want to sort of connect all of these numbers? So if one moves down, all of them are going to move down. Right? That we don't want that. We're just one column A by itself. So I'm going to go back to the home ribbon, highlight those numbers, sort and filter, smallest to largest, and I'm going to say continue only with the current selection. What I just selected column A. I want to continue with just that. And you'll see very quickly, smallest number on top, largest number on the bottom. So now it's very easy. I'm just going to repeat the same process. Column B, column C, and then column D. Sort and filter. Okay, we are halfway done. In column E, highlight cells E1 through E15 gray. Well, we already know how to highlight a cell. The only difference between highlighting one cell and highlighting 15 cells is first I have to select the cells I want to highlight. I'll go down to my color choices, and there's a bunch of grays that we could choose from. I'll just pick, a middle of the road kind of gray. Okay, so now number 8 says multiply each number in column A by 5. Multiply each number in column A by 5 and put the result in column E. Right, so I want to take 34.00 times it by 5 and put it right there. I want to take 42.16 times it by 5 and put it right there, and so on. Now, this is one of the things that Excel does very efficiently, and that's repetitive calculations. Column A times 5 goes to column E. Next number, column A times 5 goes to column E, and so on. So instead of typing in 34.00 times 5, I'm going to type in the location of the number. All right, that's what we're going to be doing a lot of, using the location of a number, not the number itself. So anytime you want Excel to do something, you have to type an equal sign. So equal A1. Now you could click on the A1 or type the A1, and I want to multiply that by 5. So this will take, I've just told Excel to take the number in column A1 and multiply it by 5. Okay, you'll see it's not exactly 170 because the number in column A is not exactly 34.00. We add some more decimals. You see it's a little higher, a little larger than 34. Now, I've told Excel the calculation I want to do. Now I want to repeat that process 14 more times. So rather than typing in A2 times 5 and then A3 times 5 and so on, if we hover the mouse, you see the little white plus sign? If we hover the mouse over that little bottom right-hand corner, you'll see the white plus becomes a black plus. This is how we tell Excel to repeat a calculation. So if you click and drag Make sure it's a little black plus sign. Again, that's how we tell Excel to repeat a calculation. If you click on any one of these numbers and you look up here in this function bar, you'll see if I click on the 170, it's A1 times 5. If I click on the next number, the 210, now it's A2 times 5. The next one, A3 times 5, and so on. So Excel just updated the row. Like I did the calculation once, dragged it down, row by row. Excel just used the numbers in the next row. So repetitive calculations, one of the really important reasons why we're using Excel and not a calculator. Even a graphing calculator takes forever. Okay, in column F, so that's column F here, highlight the cells green. Okay, that should be no problem at this point. Select them, change the fill color, and we could pick a nice green, maybe this guy right there. Okay, so that's number 9. Multiply, so number 10 now, multiply each number in column C by the number directly to its right. So we want to do column C times column D and put the result in column F. Okay, so what we're trying to do right now is take this number times this number and put the answer here in column F. You can put the answer anywhere you want, but right, we're going to put it in column F. Okay, so again, we're almost never going to type numbers directly into Excel. Like if we have them in the spreadsheet, we're just going to use the location of the numbers. So I'm going to type an equal sign. I want to take the first number in column C and multiply it by the first number in column D. On the keyboard, you have a plus, a minus, a times, and a divide keys. The times is the asterisk, so Shift 8. So C1 times D1. So what I just told Excel to do was in that location F1 to take the number in C1 times the number in D1. And I want to do it 14 more times. So column C times column D goes in column F. I've already told Excel how to do it once. So when I click and drag down in this formula, which I just highlighted up there in the formula bar, in the next row it'll become C2 times D2, and then C3 times D3, and C4 times D4. Automatically, Excel's going to do that automatically. I'm not going to have to do it manually. So hover over the bottom right, drag it down. So those are 14 more calculations that Excel just did for us. Okay, a couple more things, no more calculations, but a couple more things that you might want to do, and this is just aesthetics. Number 11, put borders around the original numbers. Easy to do. I'm going to select those original numbers. And this icon right here in the home ribbon is borders. And I'm going to use the little arrow to open up the drop-down menu. And I'm going to put all borders. So see, it's sort of emphasize the lines around each cell to sort of make it pop. And anytime I do highlighting, I always add borders because you'll see like this looks like one big green rectangle and one big gray rectangle. But as soon as you add some borders, it just, in my opinion, looks better. Okay, so that's number 11. And then finally, something I also do a lot, again, it's just aesthetics and it's just personal preference, but I like to center things. So this is, I think, the same icon you'll see in Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint. Center each of the original numbers in its cell. So I'll highlight to select the numbers that I want to center. And then I'll click this center icon. Okay, so now we are done, all 12. And again, this doesn't cover much of what we're going to be using throughout the entire semester, but what I wanted to do today in this video was just introduce some of the things that I very commonly use, whether it's for calculations or aesthetics. And in the next 20 or 30 videos that I have in this series, we're going to be doing a lot of this stuff, using these built-in functions. So these are two of the most common, actually some we're not going to use so commonly, but the average function, we're going to use this hundreds of times over the next few months throughout the rest of this semester. All right, that's it for today. I hope this video was helpful, and we're going to just move on with the next video and the next step in the Introduction to Excel for Statistics.